She woke to the cold of the bench in her spine and a shadow that swallowed the fluorescent light. A voice she knew from another life said her name the old way. Mara. Her eyes opened slow. Tile. Shoes. The edge of a designer coat. The scent, clean, sharp, expensive, like the hallways she used to mop before the sun. She pushed herself up on the airport seat, hoodie wrinkled, hair in a loose knot. The world came into focus one piece at a time. Daniel Vale stood in front of her. For a moment, her stomach dropped the way it used to when she heard him come home early. Then the training of the last 4 years slid in, smooth and cool, like a blade finding its place. She breathed once, steady. He looked older. Not in his face, he still had the magazine jaw, the clean shave, the quiet gold watch, but in his eyes. Tired around the edges. Curious. Confused. A man who owned glass towers and satellites, staring at a woman he had once fired over a missing watch worth less than his shoes. Mara, he said again, softer this time. Is that you? She glanced past his shoulder. Private security hovered a few steps back, pretending not to watch. The screen over the gate flipped cities like playing cards. JFK hummed and coughed and dragged feet to red ice. She could feel the weight of the flash drive against her ribs and the edge of the envelope inside her backpack. Don't flinch, she told herself. Don't give him the old version. It's me, she said. His mouth opened, then closed. He searched her face for the maid he remembered. The timid eyes. The yes sir smile. The way she used to fold towels like prayer. He would not find her. You're sleeping here? He sounded careful. Like he was stepping into a story and didn't know the rules. She let the corner of her mouth lift. Looks that way. You could've, if you needed help. Don't, she said. Calm. She could feel her heart tapping through her hoodie, but her voice stayed flat. Don't try the kind act now. He drew back a fraction. Eyes narrowed. Pride pricked. What happened to you? He asked. You used to be someone you didn't see, she said. That's true. He followed her gaze to the security team. A muscle flicked in his jaw. Do I need to call someone? If you call anyone, she said, you'll lose 8 billion by noon. His head tilted. What? She nodded toward his phone. Check it. He didn't move. He wasn't used to being told. Then, curiosity won. He slid his hand into his coat and pulled out the phone. He glanced down. The screen lit his face. As he read, a small tremor touched his mouth, like wind trying to move a statue. Don't blink, she told herself. Make him come to you. He looked up. What did you do? Part 1, she said. His security took a step forward. She didn't look at them. She kept her eyes on him. Have them stand down, she said. Or your board will get the video now instead of later. Daniel lifted 2 fingers without looking away from her. The men eased back. He lowered his voice. You think this is a game? I think I learned from the best, she said. Sit. He didn't sit. That was fine. The bench groaned under her anyway. Her legs were still heavy from the flight and the 5 hours of pretending to sleep while cameras watched. She stretched her fingers until the ache eased. Why are you here? He asked. She looked at his hands. The veins under the tan. The cufflinks she had once polished until her fingers cracked. Because you are, she said. Because this is the place you come when you have to leave in a hurry. Gate 17. Night flights. Fewer reporters. His face changed a little then. Not much. Just enough to tell her she had hit something tender. Mara, he said carefully. What do you want? She thought of the white marble kitchen. The way the floor shone so bright it made her feel small. The day he had stood there and let someone else call her a thief. The hour she walked out in her cheapest shoes into the cold with a plastic bag and a warning to never come back. "Everything you took," she said. "And everything you don't know you lost." She reached into her backpack, slow, so the guards didn't twitch. She slipped out a plain envelope, no name. She held it out. He didn't take it. He stared at it like it was a snake that might bite. Then he reached and slid it free. "Open it inside the lounge," she said. "Not here. Not on camera." He stared harder. "Why should I trust you?" "You shouldn't," she said. "You should read." A boarding call crackled. People stood, half asleep, dragging suitcases like tired dogs. The moment stretched. He looked at her one last time. Then he turned toward the private lounge. 20 minutes, she said behind him. Then the timer starts. He paused. Timer for what? For the fall. He didn't answer. He walked away, guards aligning like chess pieces. She watched until the automatic glass slid shut behind him. She closed her eyes for 3 seconds and let the breath shake out of her. The old fear tried to crawl up her back like it always did when she heard his voice. She pushed it down. She wasn't the girl from the service hallway anymore. She had built something. She had enemies now, yes. But she had teeth. 3 years earlier. She worked nights in a queen's kitchen that never closed. Grease on the air. Orders shouted. Coffee poured into mugs that rattled on cheap saucers. Her feet ached the same as when she used to polish Daniel's floors. Pain was pain. She was used to it. Her mother coughed in the small bedroom down the hall of their apartment. The medicine helped, then didn't, then the price doubled and the pharmacist shrugged. Mara counted bills, then selected which one of them would eat more that week. On her phone, in stolen minutes, she scrolled through free tutorials. How to build a website. How to clean a data set. How to write a script that checked prices and sent alerts. The screen light made her eyes burn and her head hum, but it felt like a door in a dark wall. She didn't think of Daniel at first. Not much. A flash of a memory now and then. The smell of lemon polish. The echo of someone laughing at a joke she wasn't allowed to hear. She pushed it away. It didn't help feed anyone. Then one Sunday, she saw him on television in the diner, smiling in a suit, talking about how he believed in fairness and hard work. He said, "In my house, everyone is family." She laughed once, short and sharp. The line cook looked up. "You okay?" "Yeah," she said. "Perfect." She went home and wrote until her fingers cramped. She built a little app that watched when certain cleaning companies needed shifts covered. She knew schedules. She knew how bosses lied about hours and tips. She wrote code that matched people who needed work with shifts that paid real cash. Now, no tricks. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. She named it Sweep. Simple. The first week, 8 people signed up. Then 30. Then 100. She barely slept. She ran deliveries between shifts and tightened code on the subway. She answered messages at 3 a.m. She learned about venture money from articles and from sitting in the back of free library classes with a notebook. She felt a heat inside her that wasn't anger anymore. It was something clean. A line she could follow. "Don't kill yourself," her friend Lynn said, sliding a coffee across the greasy table. Lynn was a programmer who worked nights too, fixing bugs at a small firm that paid late. They had the same look in their eyes, tired, stubborn, hungry in a way food never fixed. "You'll burn out." "I can't," she said. "Not yet." A week later, A post about Sweep went viral on a forum where workers traded tips. Then a blog picked it up. Then a local paper. Messages poured in. People wanted to use it in other cities. People wanted to invest. She met the first investor in a coffee shop with a wobbly table. A woman in a blazer and sneakers who listened more than she talked. The woman said, "You have traction. You have grit. You don't have a company yet. Let me help build one." Mara thought of Daniel's kitchen. The way the marble looked like ice you couldn't stand on. She looked down at her hands. They were still rough. That felt right. "Okay," she said. They built a legal structure that was clean. They set rules that paid workers fairly and fast. They put profits in a clear place. No tricks. Investors liked it because chaos scares money and clear lines invite it. Sweep expanded to 5 cities. Then 7. A larger company tried to buy it and lowball her. She said no. They came back twice. She said no again. Her mother's cough got worse. They tried clinics with long lines. Doctors with tired eyes. More pills. She sat on the edge of the bed at night and watched the slow rise and fall of the blanket. She thought, I can move mountains and I can't move this. Money felt like a bad joke then. On a Wednesday, close to dawn, her mother smiled and said, "You're not small anymore," and then she was gone. Mara sat on the kitchen floor for a long time with her back against the oven and the room too quiet. She thought of the way Daniel had looked at her when she said she didn't steal the watch. Like she was noise. Like she was a smudge you wipe off glass. She got up. She went back to work. When a proper offer came for Sweep, a fair one, with terms that respected the workers, they took it. She stayed on as a consultant and took most of her payout in stock that would vest. She kept enough cash to breathe. She took the rest and built a small fund with Lynn. Nothing with her name on it at first. Not yet. They bought pieces of companies that touched people's lives and squeezed them in the dark. They read filings the way other people read gossip. They watched patterns. They drew maps with red thread and numbers. That's when Daniel's name kept showing up. Vale Industries wasn't just shiny buildings and nice words on panels. It had shell companies that hired cleaners and cooks and drivers for his portfolio buildings. Those shells pushed down wages and pushed up fees. Money flowed in a circle that ended in his accounts. It was legal. It felt like theft anyway. She didn't call the police. She didn't shout on the internet. It wouldn't do anything. She did math. She bought small, then smaller, then through channels that didn't look like her. She attended a shareholder meeting in a beige dress and no makeup and listened to a speech about values without blinking. She lined up moves the way she used to line up bottles on a cart. Don't flinch, she told herself. Move slow. Teeth out of sight. In the second year, she met a journalist who wasn't afraid to die broke for the truth. They traded sealed envelopes, burner phones, coffee in parks. In the third year, she found a piece she didn't expect, a video from a house camera in Daniel's old penthouse that timestamped the day she was accused of stealing. It showed the CFO's assistant, Harper Reed, slipping the watch into Mara's cleaning caddy and making a call. It showed the Maid manager waiting for the order to fire. For a long time, she stared at the frozen image of her own hands washing a sink while a trap sat in the caddy behind her. She felt sick and then she felt cold and then she felt nothing. She put the video on the flash drive inside her hoodie. She memorized the lines of the faces. She planned the airport. The place picked itself. He always came through here when he needed to vanish between meetings. She knew his rhythms. She had lived inside them once, like a ghost that cooked and wiped and made sure his iron shirts faced the right way in the closet. Old habits made maps. she drew them. Which is how she came to sleep, pretend sleep, on a hard bench under a harsh light, hoodie up, backpack under her arm, while cameras watched and people shuffled and the man who once could ruin her with a word walked in front of her and said her name. Like he owned it. She sat now in the bright noise and let the past and the present touch and then separate. She checked the clock. 10 minutes. Lynn texted, "You good?" She typed, "Yes." He took the envelope, ***. 3 dots. Then, boards? Q-set, she sent the code phrase that meant the journalist had the package too, in case everything exploded. "We're clean. Lynn, proud of you." She stared at the words. Proud felt far away. Useful felt close. Across the terminal, a kid cried. A woman laughed on a phone in a language Mara didn't know. Flight attendants walked with rolling bags and the calm of people who had seen too many dramas in the air to care anymore. She took a sip of water. She thought of the first time she saw Daniel's daughter toddle into the kitchen, hair a mess, cheeks pink, calling for pancakes. The girl had given Mara a sticker with a star and said, "For you." Mara had stuck it on the inside of her locker door and kept it there even after the day security walked her out. She wasn't here for a child. She told herself that twice. She still remembered the sticker. 15 minutes. She stood and stretched, rolling her shoulders the way the trainer taught her. Money had bought her a private gym with no mirrors and a woman named Tessa who hit like thunder and taught her how to stand and how to breathe. Not to fight. To bear weight. She walked to the glass wall and looked down at the floor below. People glided like beads in a pattern. The news loop on a screen showed a smiling politician and a number that meant someone else's rent would rise. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She knew the number. He was careful but not a ghost. She answered. "Yes." "You recorded that conversation?" Daniel asked. His voice was a little lower now. His calm voice. The one he used with men who had their own jets. "Which one?" she said. A pause. He didn't like not guiding the rhythm. "The one from your envelope," he said. "The board call." That was unexpected. "You don't like unexpected," she said. "I don't like blackmail." "It's not blackmail," she said. "It's timing." Another pause. She could imagine him in the lounge, leather and quiet, reading the papers she had dropped in his lap. She could see the muscles near his eye pulse the way they did when the market dipped and someone tried to explain. "You had a point," he said finally. "About the shells. About the wages." She let the silence hang. It was nice, every now and then, to let a powerful man sit in the quiet. "What do you want, Mara?" he asked again. The same question. This time he sounded like he meant it. She looked at the planes beyond the glass, lined up like silver knives. "First, a meeting in a place I choose," she said. "No staff. No phones. You, me. 30 minutes. And second? Public correction," she said. 10 years of it. New contracts. Back pay. You will pay who you owe. With interest." He took a breath. "That will cost." "Cheaper than the other option," she said. "And the other option is." She almost told him. Not yet. That part was for the 20-minute mark. She checked the clock. "Time," she said. "Let's cut to the part where you ask me why I slept on a bench when I could afford a hotel with a gold lobby." "Fine," he said. "Why?" "Because you draw less fire when you look poor. Because camera angles. Because I wanted you to come to me with your guard down." She paused. "And because I wanted to remember." "Remember what?" "How hard the ground feels," she said. So I don't forget what I'm doing. He didn't answer. Then, soft, I didn't know about the watch. The line in her chest went taut. She said nothing. I'm not lying, he added. You hired liars, she said. You paid them to keep you clean. That's the same thing to a person like me. Silence again. Then, meet me tomorrow. 9 a.m. The park near the river. No, she said. You don't pick. You don't get to be in charge of my air anymore. There's a diner in Queens with terrible coffee. You'll like it. I don't. 20 minutes, she said. And Daniel? Come alone. She ended the call. Her hand shook once. She let it. Then she slid the phone back into her pocket and walked toward the corridor that led to the lounges. She didn't look at the cameras. She kept her chin level and her eyes on the floor, counting tiles. 12 to the turn. 6 to the door. A man with a badge stepped in front of her. Not one of Daniel's. Airport security. He looked nervous the way men look when they've been told to do a job without understanding why. Ma'am, he said. We'll need you to come with us for a moment. Her brain flipped through possibilities. The video leak? The journalist early? Harper's team moving faster than she thought? She smiled like a person with nothing to hide. Of course, she said. Is something wrong? He glanced past her shoulder. She didn't turn. Never show your back to what you don't understand. Someone reported a disturbance near the gate, he said. Who? She asked. He checked his radio. Anonymous. Lynn's text popped up on her screen in her pocket at the same time. Change in pattern. Harper moving. Careful, asterisk asterisk. She nodded once, to no one. Okay. New line. New angle. You prepared for this, she told herself. You ran the scenarios. She looked at the guard. I'll follow you, she said. But before we go, she took her wallet out and slid a business card from the middle. A plain card. No name. Just a number. She handed it to him. If anyone in a suit asks you to keep a door closed on me tonight, call that number. You'll earn more than your shift. He blinked. The card disappeared into his pocket like a magic trick. He gestured. She walked beside him down the hall. The lights buzzed. The carpet swallowed the sound of their steps. She kept her face calm and her mind moving. They turned toward a small room near the lounge, the kind with white walls and a table and a glass that wasn't really a window. She could feel eyes watching through it. She let them watch. Inside, she took the seat with her back to the wall, facing the door. She laid her hands on the table, palms down. The guard stood by the door like a statue built from nerves. The door opened. Daniel walked in. Not security. Not a lawyer. Just him. Her heartbeat changed once. Then steadied. She kept her body still. He closed the door. The click sounded final. He set the envelope on the table. He didn't sit. You wanted me alone, he said. You have me. Now tell me everything. She let a beat pass. Then two. She pictured the star sticker inside her old locker and breathed like Tessa taught her. Everything, she said. Okay. She leaned in. The room felt small and bright. The old world and the new one touched again. Harper set me up, she said. And she didn't do it for herself. She did it for your partner. The one you trust more than anyone. The one who has used you for years while you smiled for cameras. His face didn't move. His eyes did. A small flick down. The way a plan cracks. Say the name, she said. Say it, so you hear yourself. He opened his mouth. The lights flickered. The alarm in the hallway screamed once like metal tearing. Her phone buzzed. Lynn, they're here. Get out, asterisk asterisk. Mara looked up at Daniel, and for a breath, they were both just people in a small room with a pane of fake glass and two bright lights and a choice that could break a city. He swallowed. He said the name. The door handle turned. Rowan, Daniel said, voice low, like the name tasted wrong. He didn't look at her when he said it. He looked at the door. It swung open. Two men in airport uniforms stood there with blank faces and stiff shoulders. Behind them, a woman in a slate-gray blazer waited with a small smile like a paper cut. Harper Reed. Mara felt the old heat in her chest, then the new cold lay over it. She sat still. Palms on the table. Back to the wall. Eyes on Harper's hands. Mr. Vale, Harper said, voice bright for the uniforms. Sorry for the disturbance. There's a safety matter we need to clear. Mara watched Daniel's jaw tighten. He didn't invite Harper in. She came anyway. The uniforms moved aside for her like doors for a queen. Harper's eyes slid to Mara. Not a flinch. Not even a pause. You again, she said, soft enough that the uniforms would have to lean in to hear. You do love a scene. Mara kept her voice even. You left something in my cleaning caddy once, she said. Thought I'd return the favor. One of the uniforms shifted. The other stared at a spot on the wall over Mara's shoulder, trying to be furniture. The first one had a radio clipped to his vest. It crackled with static, and his fingers twitched. Mara remembered the card she'd slipped to the nervous guard outside. The number. The promise. She didn't look at him now. She looked at the second hand on the cheap clock over the door and counted. 3, 2, 1. The nervous guard's radio burst with a sharp voice. Gate 10, spill on the concourse. Repeat, spill, need all units, slip hazard. The nervous guard flinched. Harper didn't. She flicked her eyes his way, then back to Daniel. We'll be quick, she said. There's a warrant for Ms. Velasquez to answer a few questions. Cybercrime. Wire fraud. You understand. Mara felt a small smile on her mouth that didn't reach her eyes. They were going to try it this way. Paper, not knives. Fine. Daniel spoke before she could. She's with me, he said. Cool. Owner voice. This is a private conversation. Harper tilted her head. You're welcome to stay, of course. For your own safety. He didn't move. Mara noticed the small pulse at his temple again. The crack in calm. The nervous guard's radio squawked louder. Now, clean up, code yellow, need everyone. He looked at Harper. She didn't even blink. He looked at Mara. Then his phone buzzed in his pocket. He checked it low, fast, like a guilty kid. He swallowed. Ma'am, he said to Harper, they need me. Go, she said without looking. He stays. He left. He didn't close the door all the way. The latch didn't catch. The gap was the size of a coin. Air moved through it like a whisper. Mara eased her hands off the table and stood. Slow. No sudden moves. The other uniform stepped toward her. Please don't, she said. Calm. You'll slip. He frowned, looked down at the clean floor like he could see water there, and paused. It was strange, the power of a sure voice. Alarms wailed again in the hall. The lights flickered. Somewhere close, a bin toppled with a clatter. The world outside the door leaned toward noise. Harper glanced at the envelope on the table. Then at Daniel. Did you read it? She asked. Sweet voice. Knife edge. He didn't answer. Mara stepped with the flicker, not against it. She moved when the siren peaked so her footfall hid. She slid past the uniform when he turned his head for half a second toward the sound. She was at the door and through the coin-wide gap, quick and thin as a rumor. Stop, Harper said, but the word came without teeth. The hallway swallowed it. Mara walked fast, not running. Running draws eyes. She kept her hood up and her head down and her path tight against the wall. Her body remembered these halls. The places a camera couldn't see. The corners where cleaners rested their feet when the world didn't look. Behind her, steps. Daniel's voice. Harper, enough? His words hit like a closed door. Then softer steps changed direction and followed her. He was following her. She didn't look back. She turned down a service corridor that smelled like lemon and dust. She pushed a gray door with a metal plate and slipped into a small room with a metal sink, a dented locker, and a crooked poster about hand washing. He came in and let the door fall shut. The alarm became a far sound. His suit looked wrong in this room. Too clean. Too sharp. He scanned the closet like a man who had never stood in one this small. You shouldn't be here, she said. I figured that out, he said. He stood instead of sitting on the one folding chair. His eyes went to the drain in the floor, then to her hands. Rowan? She watched his mouth when he said the name. No flinch. Just the way a person says something they've said before, alone, in a dark car. Yes, she said. Rowan Pierce. Your partner. Your friend. He used Harper. He used the shells. He used you. A muscle ticked in his cheek. Prove it. She tapped the pocket over her ribs. Flash drive. Videos. Paper trails. Calls. And one thing you'll feel the second you see it. He wanted to ask. He didn't. That told her more than a question would. He was choosing which part of himself to be tonight. Her phone buzzed in her hoodie. Lynn, Plan C, press not yet. Board first, asterisk asterisk. Another buzz. The journalist, source says emergency vote. Within the hour, asterisk asterisk. So the fire had caught. Maybe earlier than she wanted. She breathed once. Tessa's voice in her head, inhale to count of 4. Exhale to count of 6. Own your heart before the room owns it. She should have seen it coming faster. Harper didn't panic. Harper was the type to light a fire in one wing so you ran there while she locked the other doors. For all her billions, new or soon to be, Mara couldn't protect the one she loved. Her mother's laugh lived in her head, warm and far. The ache was a stone under everything else. It kept her sharp and also made her want to break things. Why the airport? Daniel asked. Why not my office? My home? Because your office listens, she said. Your home listens. This place only hears wheels and shoes. He almost smiled. Almost. Then he looked at her face like he was trying to read a book in a language that used to be easy. You're different. Good, she said. He nodded at the door. Harper won't stop. She'll bring real police next time. She brought paper already, she said. Wire fraud. Cute. She held up her hands. I don't touch money straight. I don't need to. I promise people clean lines. I keep promises. His gaze flicked to the flash of her phone screen as it lit, breaking in red across a news app banner. She didn't open it. Not yet. She looked at him. You're going to lose the thing you worship most, she said. But it won't be me that does it. That sounds like a threat, he said. It's a mirror, she said. You built your house with glass and didn't see through it. He was quiet. Outside, steps moved past. A cart squeaked. Someone laughed the tired laugh of a worker on hour 12. He said, low, if Rowan is doing this, why? He has enough. People like him don't count enough, she said. They count all. You know that. You taught me. He closed his eyes for half a second. Like the truth stung. Her phone buzzed again. Different tone. The journalist, votes started. She opened the door a finger's width and listened. Nothing close. She stepped out and he followed. She led him through a tight hall that emptied into a staff staircase. Down one level. Left at the ice machine. Up 2 steps into the shadow of a vending alcove that watched the main concourse. The big screens screamed red. Emergency board session at Vale Industries. Sources, leadership change tonight, ***. Daniel's face filled the center screen, a photo with the kind of smile that asked the world to trust him. Mara watched his shoulders stop and then square. He didn't look at her. He looked at his own smile, big as a wall. The announcer's voice was sugar-coated steel, allegations of improper contracting and wage suppression across several Vale subsidiaries. Insiders say the board has moved swiftly. Unconfirmed reports that co-founder Rowan Pierce will assume interim control. He breathed out through his nose. No sound. No words. She saw the exact beat the crown tipped. It almost made her feel sorry for him. Almost. This was a high. She needed a low, a breath, or the next punch would land sloppy. Listen to me, she said. If you stand with Rowan on TV, I will burn you both. If you stand with your workers, I will hold the match. Not for you. For them. He turned his head. Eyes on hers now. Real. Hurt under the polish. You want me to beg? No, she said. I want you to change a contract. And say a true sentence into a camera. We stole. We stop now. 6 words. You can handle that. Footsteps. Fast. Closer. She pulled him back into the shadow. Harper's voice drifted around the corner, light as if she were talking about a lunch order. No, don't detain Mr. Vale, she said. He's rattled enough. Find the girl. Quietly. The uniforms moved past. Another set came from the other side. They were sweeping. Good at it. She knew the pattern. She had been part of it once, in other nights, other halls. She led Daniel through the break room maze into a loading corridor that spat them near an exit that looked like a dead end unless you knew the latch. She knew. The door gave. Cold air poured in, clean and wide. For a second, the world felt simple. On the tarmac beyond the fence, his jet sat under a belly of light. The stairs were down. A man in a cap waited at the base with a tablet. The plane looked like an idea of safety. No, she said, when he looked at it. He blinked. It's mine. It's a trap, she said. Harper's too neat. If you step on that plane, the story becomes scared billionaire flees while workers protest. Then the board votes without you in the room. Then Rowan smiles for the cameras. His eyes moved, scanning angles. Learning this new kind of math. Then where? He asked. A diner in Queens, she said. Tomorrow, 9. You show your face at a cheap table. Not your jet. Not your office. A place with a loud coffee machine and a cracked sugar jar. You sit across from me, and we write what you're going to say. You say it at noon. Your PR team will scream. Let them. He was quiet long enough to make her think he'd say no. Then, send the address. She nodded. She sent it. He looked at the text on his screen and almost laughed, like he couldn't believe he was reading that street name on that device. Her phone buzzed again. Lynn, they're shifting to Plan B, be ready for paper. Paper? Right? A warrant is just a door with words on it. But words can be heavy. The heavy came fast. Stop, a voice shouted from behind them. Not Harper. Deeper. Tired cop voice. Port Authority. Hands where I can see them. Mara didn't turn. She saw Daniel's hands go up in the glass of the door. She raised hers too. Palms open. Fingers spread. Cool air on her skin. Ms. Mara Velasquez, the voice said. You're under arrest for computer intrusion and wire fraud. Do not move. They had her real name. Of course they did. She had never been a ghost. She had only been quiet. She felt the old shake in her chest try to rise. No. Calm. Inhale, 4. Exhale, 6. Remember the ground. Remember the sticker star. Be small and sharp at the same time. Cuffs clicked around one wrist. Cold bite. She saw Daniel turn halfway, anger rising under the trained stillness. She's with me, he said again, harder now. You can't. Sir, the cop said, and his tone carried the weight of 1,000 shifts and 1,000 men in suits, stand back. Harper stepped into the edge of the scene like she was arriving late to a play she wrote. Slate gray. Small smile. We'll keep it simple, Mara, she said. Answer a few questions, and we can. Mara smiled back. This one reached her eyes. She let Harper see it. Don't, she said. Don't pretend you're winning. Harper's gaze flicked to Mara's phone as the screen lit again. She couldn't see the words from where she stood, but Mara could. The fail-safe message she'd hoped she wouldn't need. If device is restrained, release begins in 05:00. A soft countdown started in the corner of the screen. For 59. For 58. Mara raised her eyes to Daniel's. He saw it. He understood. He wasn't a stupid man. Just a man who had lived too long above the ground. Don't stop it, she said, voice quiet, even. Whatever happens next, don't stop it. Harper noticed the way they looked at each other. The small change in Daniel's face. She turned her head toward the phone like a fox catching a sound in grass. What did you, she began. The second cuff snapped shut. The cop's hand pressed Mara's shoulder. She let him. She kept her balance. On the big screens inside, the red banner changed. Rowan pierced to address press in 10 minutes. The countdown on her phone kept dropping. For 20. For 19. Car lights flashed blue against the fence. The jet lights gleamed like a promise that would cut you if you touched it wrong. Mara looked at the woman who had put a watch in her caddy and a lie in her mouth years ago. She looked at the man who had believed that lie because it was easy. She felt the headache of a long fight press behind her eyes and the strange, steady calm of a plan stepping into daylight. Time, she said. The cop guided her forward. Harper reached for the phone. The screen ticked, 04:15. Harper's fingers hovered over the phone like a hawk over a mouse. The cop's hand pushed Mara forward. The cuffs bit cold against her skin. The timer on the lock screen kept falling. For 15, for 14. Bag it, Harper said. The cop slid the phone into a gray pouch with a window. He snapped it shut. The nylon rasped. The screen still glowed through the plastic. For 10. Harper's mouth tightened. She knew what that meant. The phone was only a clock. The thing that mattered lived somewhere else. In a place she couldn't touch. Daniel stood off to the side, hands up, jaw tight, eyes moving like he was trying to solve a new kind of math. He looked at Mara once. A fast look. Not pity. Not hate. Something like respect and fear rolled into a small, hard knot. "Mr. Vale," Harper said, soft and bright. "You should head back to the lounge. We'll handle this." "No," he said. The cop cleared his throat. "Sir, please step back." Harper's voice slid in smooth. "We're on the same side, Daniel." He didn't answer. He watched the timer like everyone else. 3:58. Mara felt the old panic try to rise. She pushed it down like a door in a storm. Inhale, 4. Exhale, 6. She had built the fail-safe on a night when sleep would not come and her mother's cough echoed in the walls. If her device stopped moving for long, if it was locked in a bag, if it didn't unlock with her face after a certain window of time, the server would pour everything into the world. Not a trickle. A flood. She let her shoulders drop a fraction. Calm reads as guilt to men like Harper's lawyers. She didn't care. She wasn't playing for them. They walked. The door shut behind them with a solid sound. Blue light strobed across the glass. People on the far side of the fence held up their phones like flowers to the sun. The airport swallowed her movement with its wide, shiny floors. The cop guided her through a back corridor toward the small room near the Port Authority office. The hallway hummed. The air tasted like metal and coffee. She kept count in her head. 3 minutes, 40. 3:39. Harper walked beside them like a person out for a light jog. Her heels didn't click. She had learned how to walk like a whisper in expensive shoes. "Funny thing about clocks," Harper said, voice low, for Mara alone. "They hit 0. Then what?" "Then the truth," Mara said. "Truth is a cut you choose," Harper said. "You chose wrong." Mara didn't look at her. She watched the floor and thought of the sticker star in her old locker. She had kept it until the day they made her leave the building with a guard at her elbow. She had left it there, stuck to metal, small and bright, for someone else to find. They reached a room with a table and 2 chairs and a glass that wasn't a window. The cop sat her. He was gentle in the way someone is gentle when he doesn't want to write extra paperwork. He clicked the chain to a ring in the table. The sound was neat. Clean. Final. Harper leaned on the doorframe like she owned the wood. "This will be quick," she said. Mara could hear the TV in the next room. News anchors talking as fast as they could without saying anything. She could picture the lower third in her head, emergency meeting. Vale Industries in crisis. She could taste the fear it would cause in people whose rent depended on a paycheck with that name on it. A twist of guilt moved in her. She shoved it down. For all her billions, she couldn't protect the one she loved. She could try to protect the ones who still had to wipe down counters and count tips. This was the only way she knew. The cop set the gray pouch on the table with her phone inside. The numbers dropped. 212. He frowned. "What happens at 0? Mara met his eyes. "You hear a sound you won't forget." Harper rolled her eyes at the cop like Mara was being dramatic. Then her own phone buzzed. She checked. Her mouth flattened. She timed it to the press, Harper said, not to Mara, to herself. Of course she did. "Rowan speaks in," the cop began, listening to a voice on his radio. 8 minutes, Harper finished for him. 8 minutes for Rowan. 2 for the flood. The math felt good in Mara's bones. "Counsel on the way," the cop said, as if that would fix the shape of the room. Harper leaned closer. Tell me where else you put it. Mara smiled a little. Everywhere you don't look. Cute lines don't save you, Harper said. You're small. You always will be. Mara let her face go blank. You used to believe that about me, she said. It was useful. Harper's gaze flicked to Daniel's shape through the glass. He stood in the hall with a guard near him, tall and still. He didn't leave. He watched. Harper stepped out. The door shut. It didn't lock. It didn't have to. The cuffs did. Mara let her eyes close for a beat. Inhale, 4. Exhale, 6. She saw her mother's hands in her head, folding a dish towel, slow, careful, like love. She saw the small Queen's diner where she and Lynn had split a bagel and a dream. She saw the gym with no mirrors where Tessa had taught her how to fall without breaking her teeth. She saw the white kitchen where a lie had been born. Her eyes opened. The clock blinked. 1:01. Ma'am, the cop said, softer now. You sure you want this? She looked at him. He had a tired face. Good eyes. He had taken her elbow in a way that didn't bruise. He had put the cuffs on like he was trying not to hurt her. He would go home to a small place that smelled like detergent and take off his boots by the door and maybe kiss a kid on the head. He would want quiet. The world rarely gave him any. Yes, she said. The second hand clicked. 010, 009, 008. Harper reappeared in the glass with another uniform. She looked calm. Her eyes were not calm. Daniel stood one pace back from her. Not with her. Not against her. Watching the line between. 005, 004. Mara's throat felt tight. She made her breath go long and slow. She didn't pray. She didn't ask. She had built a machine and set it in motion. It would do what she designed or it would not, and she would live with it. 003, 002, 001. The gray pouch lit once. Then went black. The building hummed like it always hummed. Silence. For half a second, doubt slashed through her. Had she miswired something? Had she made herself small on a bench for nothing? Then the sound came. Not a noise in the room. A shout from the hall. A wave of voices like a crowd at a game when the ball goes where no one expects. The TV in the next room did not play the press conference. It played grainy footage of a bright kitchen. A maid's cart. A young woman's hands in yellow gloves. A gold watch in a clear plastic bag sliding into a caddy by a hand with dark nail polish and a small scar near the thumb. Harper's hand. The camera time stamp sat in the corner in hard numbers. The angle was ugly and true. The cop froze. So did Harper. Even her blink stopped. Audio started under the video. A board call. Men's voices. A woman's. Keep the shells offshore, one said. We can call it safety compliance. Laughter, small and tight. Rowan will cover the press. Paper names scrolled across the screen. Subsidiaries. Contracts. Wage schedules that dipped for cleaners while management bonuses rose. A clear, thin thread of money pulling hard in one direction. Then a photo. A selfie from a party with low light and too much glass. Rowan's arm around Harper's shoulder. His mouth near her ear. A caption that shouldn't have been public. He thinks he's God. Let him. Easier to move the pieces when the king is staring at himself. Harper's joke. Rowan's reply, soon. Promise. The sound sucked out of the hall like the building had opened a lung. Then it came back loud and messy. Shouts. A metal chair scraping. A woman laughing in a mean, shocked way. A man swearing. Harper didn't move for a beat. Then she moved fast. Turn that off, she snapped at someone outside the glass. The screen did not obey her. It wasn't playing from her world. It was being pushed in from another. The cop breathed out. Jesus. Mara stared at the table. She let her face be calm. Inside, something wild and sad and sharp wanted to scream and laugh at the same time. The girl in the yellow gloves on the screen was her, and not her. She wanted to hold that girl's face in both hands and say, "Hold. Don't break. You're not small." Daniel's eyes met Mara's through the glass. He didn't smile. He didn't nod. He just looked. It looked like a promise broken and a promise starting at the same time. Harper's phone blew up with soundless light. She killed the screen. Turned. Put her face back on like armor. Opened the door. "This changes nothing," she said into the room. At Mara. At the cop. At the air. It changes the narrative for a day. That's all. Mara let her head tilt. "A day is enough to open a door," she said. "Sometimes you just need a crack." Harper's eyes burned. "You think you're clean because you used workers as your shield," she said, voice soft and hot now. "You think your hands don't smell like smoke?" Mara's stomach pulled tight. There was the part that could hurt. The part that asked at night, was she becoming worse than the people who hurt her? Did she care about people, or did she care about power the way they did? She kept her face plain. "I think I can live with what I've done," she said. "Can you?" Harper's smile came back, thin and sharp as a blade made from glass. "We'll see." Out in the hall, a new sound rose, deep and steady, the low roar of a crowd that wasn't supposed to be there. Airport workers. Baggage crews. Custodians. Pilots with jackets open. Flight attendants with hair coming loose. They watched the screens. They watched each other. They said words like back pay and stole, and finally. A second wave hit the system. A map filled the TV. Red pins on buildings that carried the Vale name under other names. Addresses. Legal documents. Links. A simple line at the bottom: "If you worked here between these dates, you are owed." The cop said, "Oh man," in a way that said he had a cousin who cleaned offices and a sister who worked nights. Harper said nothing. Her hands were still. Her eyes were knives. Daniel's phone lit his face. He read. He swallowed. He looked like a man who had taken a step onto ice that felt solid and then heard the sound it makes before it breaks. The press cut to Rowan sooner than planned. He stood at a podium at Vale HQ with a wall of logos behind him. His tie was perfect. His smile was the one he used when raising money. He never looked down. He spoke over the video like it was a rude guest in his house. "These allegations are false and timed to harm a great company," he said. "We have always paid fairly. We have always." The audio feed cracked. The podium mic went dead. The TV pulled a clean clip from a private board call instead, Rowan's voice, flat and bored, saying, "They don't read contracts. They sign. We shave 0.5% here, 1% there. No one bleeds. It looks clean." The crowd sound came through the TV like weather. Not a studio sound. A real sound. Feet. Throats. Hands. Harper finally looked at Mara without hate. Without the act. Just a human look, naked for a breath. It said, "You hit me." Then the hate came back like a door slamming. "Officer," she said, eyes on the cop, tone cool again. "We're done letting this woman play politics. Book her." The cop shifted. "On what?" The paper you handed me was thin. Federal partners are en route, Harper said. Computer fraud. Interference with truth, Mara said. Critical infrastructure, Harper finished. Sit tight. Mara swallowed. The word federal pulled a cold line down her back. She kept her face calm. She felt small for a second. Then she remembered the sticker star and the taste of coffee at 3 a.m. and the heat of Tessa's hands pushing her shoulders down into the mat so she could learn how to breathe through pain. She looked at Daniel through the glass. Diner, she said, her voice steady, though the door turned it into a smear. 9. He nodded once. Harper caught the nod. You're not meeting her, she said. Daniel's eyes moved to Harper's face. I'm not asking you, he said. Something cracked in Harper's expression. Small. Fast. Then it was gone. She turned away and started calling people whose numbers opened heavy doors. The cop unclipped Mara from the ring in the table and led her down a narrow hall. Everything smelled like cleaner and dust and old paper. The TV followed them with its two bright colors and its bottom line of small truths. They passed the nervous guard from earlier. He didn't look at her. His face looked at nothing. Then his hand moved like he was scratching his side. Something small hit the floor by her foot and slid under the heel of her shoe. She stumbled on purpose. The cop steadied her. Her cuffed hands brushed the ground. Her fingers closed on the thing under her heel. A key card. Plain white. No name. She didn't look at the guard. She kept walking. She tucked the card under her palm against the metal bracelet where skin met steel. It bit. She welcomed the bite. Low. They put her in a holding room with a cinderblock wall and a table that had seen too many elbows. No glass this time. No audience. A camera bubble in the corner watched like a bored eye. The gray pouch with her phone sat on the table like a sleeping fish. The cop said, "Sit tight," again, because men like him had a small bag of words for rooms like this. He left. The door buzzed shut. The room hummed. The clock ticked. For the first time since the bench, quiet tried to fill her. It came with doubt on its back. She should have seen the betrayal coming sooner. She should have known Harper would use police before press. She should have known Rowan would eat the board if they let him. For all her planning, she had still walked into the cuffs because she needed to feel the ground. Was that brave or stupid? Was there a difference at this level? She rubbed her wrist against the cuff until it hurt. Pain told her she was here. Not small. Not big. Here. Her mother's voice in her head, from a night when the lights flickered and the rent went up, don't let them turn you into them. Win clean or don't call it winning. Was this clean? The files were true. The timing was sharp. The mess hurt and would hurt again. Workers would get checks. Lawyers would feed. People would tweet. What was she? A shadow fell across the glass in the door. A woman's shape. Then a man's. The knob turned. It didn't open. The intercom clicked. A flat voice said, "Ms. Velasquez, your counsel is here." She didn't have counsel. Not yet. Lynn had a name, but names moved slow at night. The door buzzed. The lock thunked. It opened an inch. Then more. Daniel stepped in first. No tie now. His jacket gone. He looked too big for the room. The air shifted around him the way it does around money. He set a folder on the table like it was a peace flag. His eyes checked the camera bubble. "You can't be in here," Mara said. He closed the door behind him with a soft click. "I can," he said. "For about 2 minutes. Your people will scream. They already are." He slid a card across the table. Not the kind the nervous guard had given her. This one had a letterhead. A big name. A law firm that lived in Glass. Use them, he said. They're yours for a week. She stared. Why? He inhaled. Exhaled. Because I looked at the video and I threw up in a sink, he said. And because I am not going to be the man on the wrong side of the table tomorrow. Her chest pulled tight in a new way. She didn't let it show. Words, she said. We'll see if you like 6 of them. He nodded. Diner. 9. He hesitated. Be careful. You too, she said. She almost said for your daughter and stopped herself. He didn't deserve that leverage yet. Or maybe he did. She didn't know which truth was clean there. He opened the door. A second man waited in the hall. Not a cop. A suit who looked like he belonged to the big-name letterhead. The lawyer moved in. He had TV hair and tired eyes. Ms. Velasquez, he said. I'm here to. The intercom cut him off. Different voice this time. Official. Cold. Hold. Federal agents inbound. All interviews stop. The lawyer looked at Daniel. Daniel's jaw flexed. Rowan, he said, like a curse. Harper slid into view behind the glass. She didn't try to come in. She stood with her hands folded, the way you stand in a church when you want to look like you belong. Sirens wailed outside. Not the airport ones. Other ones. The kind that carry rules on top of rules. Hi again. The agents came fast. Windbreakers. Neutral faces. The kind of hands that do not shake. They pushed the lawyer aside with sorry not sorry looks. They read a thing that had a judge's name on it. They used words like interstate, and computer, and conspiracy. Words that stack nice in a headline. Stand, the lead agent said. Mara stood. They turned her toward the hall. Daniel stepped back. His eyes were on her. She saw a question in them. Do I stop this? She shook her head once. The lead agent's radio crackled. A voice said, copy. Press. Outside. Make it clean. They moved. The nervous guard watched from the end of the hall. He didn't blink. He looked scared for her in a way he shouldn't have. He had a family, probably. A small place that smelled like detergent. He didn't need this wait. She nodded at him. The smallest thanks. They took her down another corridor to an exit that spat into a loading bay. Cold air hit her face like a slap that woke you up. The night smelled like jet fuel and rain about to happen. A black SUV idled with the back door open. A camera from a news crew leaned like a long neck at the edge of the bay. The agent lifted his hand. The camera turned away because rules. A figure stood in the shadow near the SUV. Tall. Still. Expensive coat. The light from the bay sliced his face in half. He stepped forward into it like a man stepping onto a stage he owned. Rowan Pierce. Mara felt her body go tight like a string. She kept her face plain. He looked at her like she was a problem set he had enjoyed in school. He smiled small. Private. No cameras on him yet. Ms. Velasquez, he said. We should talk. She stared back. She said nothing. Words are gifts. She had none for him. Rowan tilted his head, studied the cuffs on her wrists like they were a painting. You made a big mess, he said, voice soft, friendly, like a teacher doing a home visit. And you timed it well. I like that. Daniel's voice came from behind them, not loud, not soft. Get away from her, Rowan. Rowan didn't turn. He watched Mara. You don't want federal friends, Daniel, he said. They make you say things you'll regret. Mara could feel the weight of every choice she had made pressing down in that small, cold space. Pride and fear and a sliver of doubt fought in her ribs. Was she about to lose the next move to a man who collected people like he collected art? Was she becoming like him? The agent at her elbow tightened his grip. In the vehicle, he said. Rowan stepped aside like a gentleman. He smiled that small, private smile again. He whispered, low, just for her as she passed, you missed a piece. Her foot paused on the metal step. Cold cut through her shoe. She didn't look at him. She didn't ask which piece. She looked at Daniel instead. His hands were fists. His face was a long, hard line. He met her eyes, then looked at the key card edge peeking under the cuff at her wrist. His eyes widened the smallest fraction. He saw it. He understood. She climbed in. The door swung. A phone rang in the bay. Not hers. Not Daniel's. A hard, old ring like a landline dropped in a metal bucket. Everyone stopped for a half-second because the sound didn't belong to the modern shape of the night. Harper reached into her coat and pulled out a burner that matched the sound. She stared at the number on the screen. She looked up at Rowan. For the first time, fear lived in her face without a mask. She answered. She listened. Her mouth opened. Closed. She looked at Rowan. It's your daughter, she said, voice thin. She's gone. The night went very quiet. Rowan's smile fell off his face like it hadn't belonged there. Daniel moved 2 steps like a man pulled by a wire. Mara's heart hit once, hard. The sticker star. The little voice asking for pancakes. The girl with the soft hair and the bright laugh. She tasted metal. She was not here for a child. She told herself that twice. It didn't help. Rowan's eyes cut to Mara like a knife made of blame. Like she had pushed a piece she hadn't. Like he needed a target and she had a pulse. Where is she? Daniel said, voice low, the kind that breaks furniture. Harper looked at the screen like it could give her the answer if she stared hard enough. Text, she whispered. Video. No ask yet. The agent's hand pushed Mara's shoulder. We have to move, he said, routine trying to cover chaos. She stared at the dark glass of the SUV window. She saw her face there, small and clear. She saw a line. She didn't know which side of it she stood on anymore. Rowan stepped toward the SUV. His voice slid under the door before it closed. You release that flood, he said, too soft for cameras, just loud enough for her. I release something back. The door slammed. The lock thunked. The SUV rolled. Mara leaned her head against the cold window and counted her breath. Inhale, 4. Exhale, 6. She made her heart obey. She let the doubt talk and then made it sit down. She opened her eyes. The phone in the agent's hand lit. The big red banner across the screen wasn't about Vale now. It was about a missing girl. The SUV rolled out into the night. The glass turned the world into moving lights. The agent beside her watched the road and the mirror. His hand sat on the door like it owned it. The cuffs pressed bone. Her skin burned where metal met skin. She kept her breath steady. The red banner on his phone screamed about a missing child. A name scrolled under it, Sophie Vale, 8. A school photo. Brown hair pulled back. A small smile, shy and bright. The same eyes that once looked up at Mara and asked for pancakes. Mara closed her eyes for half a second. She saw the star sticker again. The tiny hand pressing it into her palm. For you. She opened her eyes. The city slid by, bridges, dark water, billboards selling things nobody needed at 2 a.m. You didn't do this, the agent said. Not a question. A test. I don't touch kids, she said. Ever. He nodded like he believed her and also like belief didn't change his job. She turned the words over in her head. You missed a piece. Rowan had said that at the door like a man dropping poison into a glass just to see what it did. What piece? The board? The trust? She had read their filings at 3 in the morning more times than she could count. She had circled a line in a footnote once until the paper almost tore. Pierce Vale Family Trust, Class B Supervoting Shares, co-trustees Daniel Vale and Rowan Pierce. Temporary voting control passes to the non-impacted trustee to protect the minor beneficiary in situations of incapacity, abduction, or immediate threat. ***. She had felt cold then. She felt colder now. Rowan didn't need Daniel at the vote if he could claim protect the child and take the votes for himself. All he had to do was make the words immediate threat true for an hour. She looked at the agent. You need to call someone who can freeze a trust order, she said. Right now. He frowned. That's civil. It's the only door that matters tonight, she said. If Rowan gets those votes, he wins the board even with the leak. That's the piece. The agent's jaw moved. He didn't like being told. He also didn't like being wrong. He tapped his radio. Control, get legal to check the Pierce Vale Trust docs. You heard me right. Trust. Yes, now. Static. Then, copy. He looked at her again. How do you know this? Because I used to wipe the floors they used to write on, she said. And because I learned where they hide the teeth. His mouth did a small thing that might have been a smile and then wasn't. You still broke a lot of locks tonight, he said. Locks on cages, she said. Check the wage schedules in the packet. The ones with names like safety compliance. That was blood money. He nodded once, then stared out the window like the answer might be in the lights. Her cuffs cut again. She rolled her wrist a little. The edge of the small white key card bit under the metal band where she had tucked it. Not enough to cut skin. Enough to remind her she had a way out if the door opened at the right time. The SUV took a ramp that swung them toward the river. Wind hit the glass in soft, constant pushes. The driver said nothing. The agent beside her kept scanning the mirror. The phone on his thigh lit with a new alert. A video. The title was simple and hard, Live, Message to Daniel Vale. The agent tapped it. He couldn't help it. No one could. The screen filled with a small room. Gray wall. One lamp. A child sat on a chair with her knees together and her hands in her lap like she had been told to sit nice. Sophie. Hair loose now. Eyes too wide. Mara's body went still. Her mind went loud. Don't cry, she told herself. Don't move. Think, ****. A voice came from off camera. Filtered. Flat. The kind of sound you get when someone wants to be no one. Mr. Vale, the voice said. You have 1 hour to enter the board vote and assign your Class B votes to your partner. If you do not, your daughter waits longer. Don't test me. This is not a joke. Sophie looked to the side like someone had told her to look at the lens and she didn't know where it was. Her mouth pressed thin. Brave. Proof of life, the voice said, like he was reading items on a menu. Say your name. Sophie swallowed. Sophie Vale, she said. The words were small but steady. Mara felt something tear under her ribs. Hold, she told herself. Think. Say what you like to eat, the voice said. Sophie's lip wobbled. Pancakes, she said. Mara's eyes burned. She blinked hard. The screen shook a little as the agent's hands tightened. Even he wasn't stone. Good, the voice said. Now look at the camera. Sophie looked straight at them for a breath. The lens caught a tiny shine on a metal locker behind her. A sticker sat crooked near the handle. A gold star. Half peeled at one corner. Old glue dark around the edge. Mara's heart slammed once. The world narrowed to that shape. No one else would see it. Not like she did. Not with the heat of months and years behind it. The sticker she had left in her locker when they walked her out. The dent by the hinge. The scratch in the paint from a cleaning cart that hit too hard one day after a manager shouted. She knew that locker. She knew the room. She knew the smell of it, lemon cleaner and old coffee and cheap soap. She knew where Sophie was. Her mouth said the words before she could stop them. I know that room. The agent's head snapped toward her. Where? Vale Tower, she said. Penthouse staff locker room. Sublevel 2. East side. Take the service elevator by the freight cage. The door sticks. She could see it as she spoke. The stair with the chip on the third step. The wall with the hairline crack that looks like a river on a map. The way the light hums in the corner and always needs a hit to wake up. The agent didn't argue. He tapped his radio fast. Control, this is 4 to 7. Possible location on the Vale Child. Staff locker room, Vale Tower, sublevel 2, east side. Repeat. Staff locker, S2 east. Send units. Quiet. No front door. Use service. Static. Then a flurry. People moving in his ear. The SUV turned without being told. The driver knew the streets. He cut across one lane like a knife. The tires bit. A horn cried. The city opened. On the screen, Sophie's eyes moved too fast like birds. The voice said, no police, as if the universe would listen to that. No press. 1 hour. The video cut. The screen went black. Then a new slide, a countdown clock. 01:00:00. The agent swore under his breath. He tucked the phone away like it might burn him and pulled it out again because he needed the time. Why would they keep her there, he asked. That building is hot. Cameras. Mara's mind ran hard and clean now that it had a line to follow. Because of those cameras, she said. That's Rowan's building. His security. He can blind what he wants, when he wants. Everyone will look out, not down. He took that in. He nodded once. We keep you out of this, he said. You don't go near that building. I know the doors, she said. And that's exactly why you don't go, he said. We have units. She swallowed the fight that rose in her throat. He was right about risk. He was wrong about speed. No one knew those halls like she did. Not even the men who owned them. Her phone slept in the gray pouch on her lap. No buzz now. It had done its job. The flood would still roll in waves through the night. People would wake to links and maps and claims forms. The company would fight in press releases and court. That was one war. This was another. The SUV slid between trucks and taxis and the stray car that should have been home an hour ago. The bridge rose in front of them like a dark set of ribs. The water under it looked like oil in the light. The city beyond was knives and windows. Her head leaned against the glass. The cold pulled heat from her skin. She let the quiet come for 3 breaths and held it like a small, fragile thing. Then she let it go. Listen, she said. You'll get to the building and there will be a man with a clipboard at the service entrance. He'll say the elevator is out. That's not true. He's stalling. Don't step into his office. Ask him for a towel. If he hands you a blue towel, it means cameras are live. If he hands you a white one, it means they're blind. The agent looked at her like she had told him a joke, and then he realized she hadn't. How do you? I used to be the one with the towels, she said. We had codes for everything. This place is built like a palace. It behaves like a ship. Signals matter. He relayed that too. His voice went clipped and precise. The radio spat back thank yous that sounded like the speakers had never said the words before. The lawyer Daniel had called in on the agent's second phone. The agent put him on speaker for a minute. The voice was smooth. We filed for an emergency injunction to freeze trust votes, the lawyer said. We need a judge. We're shopping for one who isn't asleep or in love with money. Keep shopping, the agent said. I will, the lawyer said, and hung up to go do the thing he was best at, call men with robes and convince them the world was on fire. They came off the bridge in a rush. The SUV slid into streets that got smaller and richer at the same time. Glass towers rose like trees that blocked the sky. Vale Tower put itself in the middle like a proud child in a school photo. The lights near the top were still. No flicker. No sign of panic. Mara's chest got tight again. They'll use the service dock, she said. Not the main valet. Don't bring black SUVs. Bring trucks that look like kitchens. The agent didn't say yes. He spoke into the radio in short words. The driver took a left. The SUV sank lower into a street that ran along the back side of the tower. Dumpsters. A loading bay. A metal door that had been painted too many times. They stopped half a block away, behind a fruit truck that smelled sweet and wrong at the same time. Stay, the agent said. I can help, she said. Stay, he said again. He looked her in the eyes when he said it. Not like an order. Like a wish. He got out. The air that came in with him was wet and heavy. Rain waiting. He closed the door. The driver watched her with careful eyes, a man who had seen people do strange things in the back seats of cars and didn't want more tonight. She sat. She listened. She counted the seconds on the agent's phone that sat face up in the holder. 00:46:12, the screen glowed a soft, relentless white. She pressed her wrist against the edge of the cuff. The card bit again. She turned it a little with her fingers until the corner caught the tiny space where metal meets lock. Tessa would kill her if she saw this. Breathe, Tessa would say. Don't rush the small moves. She didn't rush. She felt for the spring. She pressed. The metal didn't give. She tried again, slower. A click. A millimeter of space. The cuff eased a little. Not off. Enough to get blood back in her hand. She breathed out. Two men in coats crossed in front of the SUV, heads down, moving like ants who knew where the sugar was. They didn't look at the car. Good. A woman with a cart rolled by, her apron tied tight, eyes on the pavement. Staff. Night crew. People who made things clean while rich people slept. Mara's throat hurt. She wanted to get out and run into the belly of the building and pull open every door until she found the star. She didn't. She sat. She waited. The worst work. Her mind kept sliding to guilt. Had her leak made this easier? Had she lit one fire and given a bad man cover to light another? Was she worse than the people she hated because she thought the ends tasted clean? No, she told herself. I didn't touch this. He did, asterisk asterisk. She let the anger burn a little. Anger is heat. Heat moves blood. Heat keeps you from freezing in place. Footsteps. Fast. The agent came back to the door and opened it a crack. He had swapped his jacket for a plain black one that didn't scream federal. Units in, he said. Service entrance was ours. Cameras were blind. Guess your towel code works. A quick breath that might have been a laugh. We've got eyes on S2 East. Door is stuck. Told you, she said. He almost smiled. They're breaching. The radio hissed. A voice said, strained, we're at the locker room. Doors blocked from inside. Something heavy. Sounds like a fridge. Pushing. Mara's stomach pulled. She pictured the dented old fridge in the corner. It was always full of other people's yogurt and plans. Someone had dragged it. Someone strong. Don't hurt her when the door goes, she said. No one answered. Too busy. The radio went dead for a beat. Then a man shouted, got it. A woman's voice, clear. Clear, then, I have the child. Repeat, I have Sophie. She's okay. Crying. No injuries. No suspect on scene. The agent leaned his head back and let out a breath like he had been holding it his whole life. The driver closed his eyes for half a second. Mara grabbed the edge of the seat with both hands so she didn't break into pieces. She let tears come and they didn't get past her lids. She blinked hard. She breathed. Get her to her father, the agent said into the radio. Quiet. Back way. Copy, the woman said, voice thicker now like she had a kid at home too. Moving. The countdown on the phone didn't care. 00:42:07, the board clock ticked down even as the child's clock stopped being a bomb. Mara wiped her face with the back of her hand. The cuff clicked against her skin. She felt the key card again, small and dumb and sharp. She might not need it now. Not for this. She might still need it for her. Whoever did it is still in the building, she said, voice low. Or he went out before the breach through the laundry chute. There's a door that. We know, the agent said, not unkind. We've got eyes. He closed the door. He walked away. Mara sagged back into the seat. The leather tried to hold her up. She didn't let it. She held herself. Through the windshield she saw motion in the far dark, two figures coming fast along the wall. A small one wrapped in a blanket. A larger one holding. A third behind them, covering. The small face turned toward the street lights for a breath. Sophie. Safe. A sob punched Mara's chest from the inside. She swallowed it down. She watched the team slide the child into a plain van with no marks. No press. No show. Good. The van rolled. It vanished into the curve of the alley like it had been there all along. The night took the space it left. Her phone in the gray pouch buzzed even though it shouldn't. A ghost buzz. Muscle memory. She smiled once at herself. She was hearing things. The agent came back. He sat. He didn't say good job because those words don't live in rooms like this. He said, now we go downtown. Of course, she said. Lawyer will meet us there, he said. Anne. Mr. Vale. She nodded once. She stared at the countdown on his phone. 00:39:51. Rowan's hour wouldn't matter now if the lawyer found a judge. Even if he didn't, Daniel now had a different kind of face to put on TV. A father's face. That changes a lot of things. But it didn't change everything. The files would still rise. The board would still cut and snap. Harper would still move like a knife in soft hands. Rowan would still have rooms he could hide in. "It's not over," she said. "It never is," the agent said. Rain started, soft and even. The drops on the glass turned the city into water. Her body started to feel the night. The bench. The flight. The running. The cuffs. Every part ached like a slow bruise being born. She let the ache be. Pain was proof you weren't a ghost. They pulled into a garage down under a federal building that always smelled like bleach. The driver killed the engine. The door locks thunked. The world got smaller again. The agent opened her door. "Watch your step," he said. She slid out. Her foot hit wet concrete. Cold climbed her ankle. She stood. She walked. The hall swallowed them, white walls, cameras, a line of doors that had bitten many hands. He put her in a room with a table and softer chairs than the airport. The kind of comfort that makes you forget you're in a box. The cuffs came off. He left them on the table like a promise that could go either way. He set down a cup of water. "Drink," he said. She drank. It tasted like metal and tap. She didn't care. It went down like fire and came back as steadiness. The lawyer came back with papers and a face that looked like a man who wanted sleep more than money for the first time in his life. He nodded at her. "We have a temporary freeze on the trust votes for 12 hours, he said. "We'll need to go back in front of another judge to stretch it." 12 is enough, she said. "We do our part by noon." He blinked. "What's our part?" "We make him say 6 words, she said. He looked at the agent like, "Who is this woman?" The agent looked back like the person who told us where a child was. The door opened. Daniel stood there. He looked like he hadn't slept in a week even though only an hour had passed. He looked at Mara first. Then at the cuffs on the table. Then back at Mara. "She's safe," he said. His voice broke and then healed in one breath. "Thank you." Mara nodded. "Good," she said. The word was small and felt heavy. He stepped in. The door shut behind him. He didn't sit. He put both hands on the back of the chair across from her and leaned on it like a man who had been hit in the chest. "Rowan called me," he said. "He told me to give him my votes. He said it was the only way to keep her alive." "What did you say?" she asked. He looked at the floor. "I told him no." And then the video came. He lifted his head. "You were right. About the trust. About the shells. About Harper. About me." She didn't let the words land in a soft place. Soft places are how you get hurt. "Tomorrow," she said. "Diner. 9. He nodded. "I'll be there." He looked at the agent. "She doesn't belong in a cell tonight." The agent blew out a breath. "She belongs on the right side of a table," he said. "Which is this one?" "For now." He slid a form across the table. "You can stay for questions with counsel present," he said to Mara. "Or you can wait. Your choice." She looked at the lines on the form. She thought of her mother's voice. When clean, she thought of workers staring at screens in quiet kitchens right now, fingers hovering over the link that said "Claim what you're owed." "I'll answer," she said. The agent nodded. He set a recorder on the table and didn't turn it on yet. He looked at her like a person for a breath, not a badge. Before he could start, the intercom cracked. A voice said, "Agent 4 to 7, hold. Update from Vale Tower." The agent tapped the button. "Go." "Secondary sweep found something," the voice said. "Locker room had a camera. Not ours. Wired to a box behind the fridge. Live feed went somewhere local. We traced it to a room upstairs. Service suite. Empty now. But we got a partial thumbprint on the frame of the camera. Running it. Mara felt the skin on her arms lift. Any ID, the agent said. Not yet, the voice said. But we pulled a short clip from the box. Before the kid. Same room, different day. A woman placing the star sticker on a locker door. Timestamp, 3 years ago. Mara swallowed. That's me, she said. And someone was standing behind you, the voice added, slow. The shadow matches a male about 6 feet, left shoulder dropped, old injury. Could be a match to a staff supervisor from that period. Name flagged in our system from tonight. The agent looked at her. Name? The speaker crackled. Leon Varela. The name slid through Mara like a blade made of ice. Leon. The household manager who never liked her, who smiled with his mouth and not his eyes. The one who had stood in the kitchen on the day of the watch and kept his hands clean. Of course. The agent turned to her. You know him? Yes, she said. Her voice was calm. Her heart was not. He set the tone for the staff. He kept the list of who worked where. He picked who got punished. Find him, the agent said into the room, and the room moved even though it had no legs. The lawyer cleared his throat. Diner, he said to Daniel, trying to pull the world back to something human. 9. Daniel nodded. He looked at Mara again. I owe you. She shook her head. You owe them, she said. The people who cleaned your glass. He took that like a punch he wanted to feel. The agent finally hit the recorder. State your name for the record, he said. Mara Velasquez, she said. He asked for her story. She gave him enough. Not everything. Enough to be clean. She kept her lines straight. She kept her voice level. She watched the clock on the wall move in slow ticks toward a morning that would break a city and might fix a few small pieces. They paused for a breath. The agent stood, stretched his back like a man who had won. He stepped out for coffee. The lawyer rubbed his eyes. Daniel stared at the floor like it held answers. Mara looked at the cuffs on the table. The edge of the white card peeked from under one. She touched it with one finger and pushed it back into her sleeve. She wasn't done needing sharp things. A buzz hit the intercom again. A new voice. Younger. Fast. Agent 4-7, we have the print. Leon Varela. He has a storage lease under a shell 2 blocks from Vale Tower. Unit rented 2 days ago. He had help. Footage shows. The speaker went dead. The lights flickered once. The recorder on the table hissed. And then the room went dark. Not soft dark. Hard. The kind that eats sound. A hard click hit the door. Lock. Mara's breath went steady on purpose. Daniel said, "What is this?" The lawyer said, "Backup generator." Mara listened. In the hall, feet. Too many. Moving fast. Not panic. Purpose. She reached for the cuffs on the table without thinking. Cold metal met her skin like a memory. She slid the key card against her wrist where the band had loosened and felt for a spring she couldn't see. Outside, someone's voice said, "Too close to the door, open for maintenance." The agent's voice, farther away, shouted, "Do not." Silence. The door handle turned. Mara didn't breathe. She slid the loosened cuff back on her wrist and let the metal kiss bone. Better to look tame. Better to look harmless. Open for maintenance, a man called from the hall. Too smooth. Wrong pitch. The kind of voice you use when you're lying to a stranger in a hurry. Do not open, Agent 4-7 shouted from somewhere down the corridor. The lock clicked anyway. The knob twisted. The door swung a hand's width, then more. Two men in gray coveralls pushed through with flashlights held low. No badges. No name patches. Their belts were too clean. Their boots were too new. Behind them, in the half-light, Mara saw a third shape hang back. Tall. 6 feet. Left shoulder lower than the right like an old hanger pulled it down. Her chest went tight. Leon. The first man lifted his light. Power's out on B level, he said. Calm. We're moving you to a safe room. Daniel stepped between Mara and the men before she could. He didn't think. He just moved. He put his hands on the chair back like it was a shield. Who cleared you? He asked. Facilities, the man said. Move. The lawyer made a small sound that wasn't a word. His fingers dug into his folder like paper could save him. Mara kept her eyes on the door seam. On the shadow with the dropped shoulder. Leon didn't come in. He stayed where light couldn't touch his face. A smart man in a stupid jacket. Agent. Daniel called. Footsteps pounded outside. The first man reached for Daniel's shoulder. Mara grabbed the loose cuff chain with her left hand and swung it up hard across the man's knuckles. Metal hit bone. He hissed, dropped the light. It rolled under the table and made the room look like a pond. Shadows climbed the walls. The second man lunged. Daniel didn't fight like a boxer. He blocked like a father. He took the shove to his ribs. And stayed on his feet. He shoved back once. The man stumbled into the door frame. A shape flashed in the gap. Agent 47's shoulder. Down, he barked. He didn't draw. He didn't need to. He body-checked the second man out into the hall and slammed him into the opposite wall. A grunt. A thud. The sound of a body forgetting its job. The first man lunged for Mara anyway. He grabbed the chain between her cuffs. He didn't know what he was doing. He tried to pull her out of the chair. She let him. She stood when he yanked, and as his weight came forward she stepped aside like Tessa taught her, and his face met the edge of the table with a wet sound. He slid down and made the kind of groan you never forget. The lawyer backed into the corner and held his folder like a holy book. Mara looked at the door. The gap was empty now. Leon was gone. Of course he was. Emergency lights snapped on in the ceiling with a sour hum. Red bars along the floor lit up and turned the hall into a low river of blood. Agent 4-7 cuffed the second man with fast hands and a knee on his back. He kicked the first man's flashlight out from under the table. He looked at Daniel, then at Mara, quick, counting pieces. You okay? He asked. Yes, she said. Her hands were shaking. She let them. Then she made them stop. Who was in the hall? The agent asked. Leon, she said. Left shoulder down. The agent's jaw went hard. He spoke into his radio. We have 2 in custody. Third suspect, Leon Varela, on B level. Possible exit toward West Service Stair. Lock it. The radio cracked and coughed. Copy. West Stair sealed. Cameras, static. Feed cut. Harper's face flashed in Mara's head, then Rowan's, then the kid with the star sticker. She closed her eyes for half a second. Don't chase the ghosts. Chase the person. The agent hauled the first man off the floor and shoved him into a chair. Who sent you? He asked. The man stared at nothing. Blood ran from his nose. He smiled with the side of his mouth that still worked. Maintenance, he said. Cute, the agent said. Daniel stood straight now, breath tight. He looked at Mara like he wanted to say something he didn't have a name for. Then he looked at the men and something hard moved into his face that hadn't lived there before. The light steadied. The building exhaled. The lock on the door buzzed. Real maintenance this time. A voice down the hall yelled, "Power rerouted." Agent 4-7 dragged the two men out with the help of a uniform who had found his courage. He signaled a guard to the door. "No one in or out," he said, and the guard nodded like he was happy to finally have a rule he could hold. The agent came back in. He pointed at the loose cuff around Mara's wrist. "Why is that open?" She didn't blink. "It wasn't." He pulled. It slipped. His eyes held hers for a beat. He knew that wasn't the whole truth. He let it stand. "You still good to talk?" he asked. "Yes," she said. Her voice held. "Then I need a phone." "Why?" "Because Lynn will be watching thick traffic around Leon," she said. "He's not a ghost. He needs rooms. He needs shelves. He needs money in a place he can touch. He just used a unit near Vale Tower. If he's smart, there's another one." The agent nodded once to himself. He handed her a government phone that felt heavier than a normal phone even though it weighed the same. She punched a number she knew by heart. Lynn picked up on the first buzz. "You alive?" Lynn asked, voice tight. "Yes," she said. "Leon breached. He ran." "I figured," Lynn said. "He lit a storage unit 2 blocks east as a hop spot. Unit 3C. Lease under the shell you flagged. There's motion there now. Door opened 8 minutes ago. Then closed. No one out. Address," Mara said. Lynn rattled it off. "I'll feed it to animal control," Lynn added, code for the agent's team. They didn't use proper names on open lines. It was a habit from cheap apartments and loud neighbors. "Do it," Mara said. "And Lynn?" "Yeah." "Thank you," she said. A beat of quiet on the line. Then Lynn said, softer, "Don't die," and hung up. Agent 4-7 was already moving. He had heard the address. He wasn't a statue. He was a man who liked moving toward a point. "Let's go," he said. "Me too," Daniel said. "No," the agent said, without turning. "You go home. You see your kid. And you prepare to say true words at noon." Daniel looked at Mara. She saw the fight in him. She also saw the fear. She shook her head once. "She needs you," she said. "Not me." His throat worked. He nodded. He looked like he wanted to touch her shoulder and thought better of it. He settled for a word. "Careful." "You too," she said. The lawyer cleared his throat like a dying engine. "Diner," he said, trying to hold the day in his hands. 9. "Diner," Daniel said. He left with the lawyer and 2 guards. The hall swallowed them. The air felt different without him in it. Lighter and more dangerous at the same time. Agent 4-7 looked at Mara. "You shouldn't come," he said. "You will." "Yes," she said. He nodded like he was tired of pretending otherwise. 2 cars, he said into his radio. No lights. Storage address. They moved. The garage air tasted like wet stone. The rain above was steady now. The city washed itself in gray. In the SUV again, Mara pressed her wrist against the cuff until the skin hurt. Pain kept thoughts straight. She watched the wipers comb the drops into lines and then lose the lines again. The agent drove this time. The driver was off grabbing more bodies for the net. The radio hissed and spat names indoors and the weird nicknames men give to hallways when they own them for a night. Why would Leon do this? The agent asked. He didn't expect a full answer. He wanted a reason to keep his head clear. Because he's good at being invisible, Mara said. He knows every back door in a rich man's building. He knows when the real guards sleep. He knows which cameras blink and which ones are stuck dumb forever. People like him get drunk on that. If Rowan hired him, he felt seen. If Harper paid him, he felt important. If he did it on his own, he wants a throne made of closets. You think Rowan called this shot or Harper? The agent asked. She thought of Harper's face at the van. The way fear had come naked for a breath. She thought of Rowan's private smile and his whisper by the SUV door. You missed a piece. Rowan, she said. And Leon did the floor work. Harper kept the paper clean. She likes rooms with light. This was a dark room. The agent grunted. He seemed to like that answer because it fit the box he was building. They cut down a narrow street with a row of red doors. Storage World. Places you rent when you don't want to admit to your wife that you can't throw things away. The sign on the corner flickered, Easy Store. A neon key blinked and died and blinked again. Animal control near? Mara asked. 2 minutes, he said. We're early. Good. He rolled past the front office. A bored man behind glass watched a game on his phone. He didn't look up. The world can be burning and a man will watch highlights at 2 a.m. That's how the world survives. They parked. Under a broken light. Water dripped from the lip of the roof in a steady rhythm. The agent popped the glove box and pulled a plastic badge that said Fire Safety in block letters. He clipped it on without smiling. Walk like you own it, he said. I know how, she said. They went through the side door that never closes right. The hall inside was a throat of concrete and paint. The units lined up like teeth. Numbers stenciled in black. The lights buzzed and made moths out of dust. 3C sat halfway down. Gray door. Padlock. Fresh scratches around the hasp. The kind of marks you make when you open a lock with the right key in a hurry and a hand that shakes. Agent 4-7 held up a hand. He leaned his ear to the metal. He closed his eyes. Nothing, he whispered. He took a thin tool from his pocket and slid it into the lock. A click. The padlock opened. He didn't swing the door. He stepped to the side and nodded at Mara to do the same. He opened the door with his foot and let it go slow. The smell hit first. Cleaner. Coffee gone old. Rubber. A ghost of lemon like the airport room. It made Mara's throat ache. The light inside was on. A bare bulb hung from a cord. In the unit, a metal shelf with labeled bins. Cables. Tools. Cleaners. A gray locker with a dent in the door like a knee hit it. 2 folding chairs. A folding table with a roll of duct tape, a knife still in its package, a bag of zip ties like pale worms. A portable router with lights dead now that the door was open and the box had moved. A cheap burner phone face down. A stack of printed maps with red circles around service doors at Vale Tower and 2 other addresses she knew, a hospital and a school. The circles made her skin crawl. A child's sweater sat on the chair back. Pink. Too clean. No blood. She touched the sleeve. It was dry. It smelled like laundry soap and fear. Evidence, the agent said softly. Not to Mara. To the machines in the ceiling that would ask him later why his report had feelings. He snapped photos with his phone. He spoke a date and a time. His voice stayed steady. Mara moved to the locker. She tried the handle. It stuck. Old paint. She tugged. It came. Inside, a satchel. Brown canvas. Cheap. Heavy. Wait, the agent said. She did. He reached over her shoulder and pinched the zipper pull with a cloth. He slid it back. The smell of paper rose. Paper and metal. He lifted out a stack of envelopes and a small tin cash box. He opened the box. Cash. Not stupid money. Busy money. Enough to go. Enough to hide. It made her stomach pull. He slid the envelopes onto the table and fanned them. Inside were photos. A lot of photos. People in uniforms at back doors. Badges. Schedules. A list of names with marks next to them. Night crew. Freight. Janitor. Preferred. The mark by Leon Varela was a star. Other stars lived next to names she didn't know. Next to one, HR, someone had written that. The letter R had a flourish. Harper wrote like that. Or someone who wanted them to think she did. Under the photos sat a single sheet of paper with 6 words on it in bold like a dare. We stole. We stop now. Noon. Her line. The one she had told Daniel. The one she would make him say. Seeing it here felt like touching a mirror and finding a stranger on the other side. Someone's inside your head, the agent said. She swallowed. Or they're ahead, she said. The burner phone on the table lit without a ring. No caller ID. Just a black screen and white letters that crawled up. Hello, Mara. Her skin went cold like water dumped on it. The agent's hand hovered over the phone like it was a snake. Another line appeared. You're late. He didn't touch it. He took a picture. Then he picked it up with 2 fingers like a surgeon and turned it face away so the camera on the front saw nothing but air. A new line popped anyway, upside down. The dollar you think you took is a match. Blow on it. See what burns. Mara forced her breath to stay slow. Screenshots, she said. The agent took them. The phone went black for a beat. Then a photo filled it. Grainy. Night. A back stairwell with a cinder block wall and a red stripe. A man's shoulder in frame. Left side lower. A hand on the rail. A date stamp, tonight. Leon, she said. The door behind them slid a centimeter on its track. The agent turned his head a fraction. Units, he asked the radio. 2 minutes, the radio said. Traffic. They didn't have 2 minutes. The burner phone lit bright white. A countdown appeared. 1 minute and 30 seconds. What is that? The agent asked. A joke, Mara said. Words were dry in her mouth. Or a fuse. He scanned the room in one sweep. His eyes hit the router. The cords. The boxes. The bulb. The knife. Go, he said. They stepped back into the hall. The agent pulled the door down halfway. He stopped it with his foot so the air moved around it. He reached in and pinched the router's power cord with the cloth and yanked it free. The lights on the box died. The burner phone still counted. 1 minute and 5 seconds. Radio, the agent said. We need bomb squad. No time, Mara said. It's not a bomb. How do you know? Because Leon likes rooms, not craters, she said. He wants pictures. He wants control. He wants to humiliate. The phone flashed another photo. The diner. The one in Queens. A wide shot of the outside at night. Closed sign. Rain on the window. A time overlay, 9 a.m. Then a second photo. Inside. A table by the window. 2 empty mugs. A napkin with 6 words written in thick pen. We stole. We stop now. Noon. Her line again. Button to the table with a fork. Someone had taken time with this. Someone had keys to the diner or knew someone who did. The phone ticked under the picture. 22 seconds. Out, the agent said. Calm. Flat. He tugged the door all the way down until it kissed the floor. He locked the padlock. He stepped back and put his body between her and the unit because that is what some men do without thinking. The countdown hit midnight. Nothing happened. Not sound. Not light. The world kept humming. Mara let out a breath and told her heart to stop trying to break her ribs. Then the padlock on the unit next to them, 3B, snapped open. The door rolled up. A camera just inside flashed once, like lightning in a room. The flash painted her and the agent onto the walls for a breath. The camera clicked again. And again. A small printer on a crate next to it spit out photos into a neat stack. Her face. The agent's face. The unit number behind them. The unlocked posture. A voice came from a speaker on the floor. Not filtered. Not Rowan. Not Harper. A man who liked his own sound too much to hide it. Good, Leon said. I wanted a clean shot. Mara turned toward the open unit. It was empty. Just the camera and the crate and the cheap speaker. A wire ran through a hole in the back wall like a snake. Come out, the agent said. The speaker laughed. No. Coward, Mara said. She kept her voice soft. She didn't give him the heat he wanted. Another flash. Another photo slid out like a tongue. Leon's voice dropped, intimate, close even though he wasn't. You think walls save you? You think federals keep you holy? You're just a person in a room. I move rooms for a living. A car engine idled outside. Not theirs. Not loud. Close. The agent raised his radio. Units, on me. Rear alley. We have a live exit. Suspect remote. Likely 2 bodies. Watch the drain wall. No answer. The radio hissed and coughed and went quiet. Too much water. Too much concrete. The building ate the signal. Back door, Mara said. The agent nodded. Stay. She didn't. She stayed close behind him. They went to the end of the row where a metal door with flaking paint waited. The bolt had been cut clean. The rain outside made a curtain of silver. The alley beyond held a dark van with no plates. Its side door slid shut right as they reached the line where inside becomes out. The engine revved once. The tires squealed on wet. The van shot forward and bent into the street like it had the right to. The agent ran 3 steps out and pulled up. No good to chase with nothing to catch. He memorized the shape like men do who eat plates and doors for breakfast. Mara stood in the doorway and let the rain hit her face. It washed the room off her skin. It didn't wash the voice out of her head. Behind them, the little printer kept spitting photos of her face as if it had forever. Agent 4-7 went back to the unit and kicked the crate over. The camera fell and died. The printer choked. He stood with his hands on his hips and breathed like a human. Then he looked at her. He's going to show those, he said. You at a storage unit with me. He'll write his own caption. I know, she said. He wants to move the story, he said. I know, she said again. She felt tired enough to sit down on the wet floor. She didn't. Let him. We move it back at 9. His eyes cut to the phone still glowing with the diner photo and the heavy pen. "He's coming," he said. "Good," she said. "So are we." Footsteps slapped in the hall. Two agents in rain-slick jackets slid in, eyes up, hands ready. "Late by a minute. On time for the next part." "Missed him," 4-7 said. "We got the cameras," one agent said. "If he points those photos at press, we'll point this back." "He'll point anyway," 4-7 said. He stared at the burner one more time. The photo of the diner sat there like a dare. Mara took the phone gently. She flipped it over. On the back, in cheap marker, a number had been written twice and crossed out once. Under it, a tiny drawing of a star. 5 points. Wobbly. Like a child drew it with her left hand. Her mouth went dry. "He's in my head," she said. "He's in my locker. He's in my sticker." The agent's face softened for a breath. "He wants you rattled." "It's working," she said, honest and flat. Then she made the fear sit on the floor next to her like a dog that needed rules. But not enough. The other agents bagged boxes. 4-7 photographed every screw. The night lifted a shade. It wasn't dawn yet. It was the kind of hour that breaks people who don't trust their legs. He looked at her. "We take you to a safe house," he said. "You sleep 3 hours. You wake up. You write 6 words with him. Then we walk into a room full of cameras and you hand me Leon." "I won't sleep," she said. "You'll close your eyes and breathe for 15 minutes, he said. Tessa voice. "Inhale 4. Exhale 6. She almost smiled. "You listen?" "I do," he said. "It's my job." They led her out under the rain. The SUV waited. The world smelled like wet and metal and new plans. Her phone in the gray pouch buzzed against her leg like a heartbeat she didn't own. She took it out. A message from Lynn. Storage 3C had second lease under same shell at a different site. Deeper in Queens. Unit 12A. Opened 10 minutes ago. Mara tasted pennies. Leon had nested his rooms. Of course he had. She looked at the agent. "There's another." He closed his eyes once like he was saying goodbye to sleep. "Of course there is," he said. "Send it." She sent it. He looked at the sky like it could help. He looked at her like it couldn't. "Diner at 9, he said. "Diner at 9, she said. They slid into the SUV. The wipers swept. The city kept breathing. Her eyes closed because she told them to. She saw her mother's hands, slow and careful. She saw the sticker star. She saw Sophie's face brave in bad light. She saw Leon's shoulder drop in the dark like a question that didn't want an answer. She should have seen the betrayal sooner. She should have known the piece Rowan talked about wasn't a line in a filing. It was a person who moves in rooms nobody names. Was she becoming worse than the people who wronged her? Or was she finally strong enough to take the hand off the lever? She opened her eyes. The SUV turned. The city gave them another hallway to run. Her phone buzzed again in Lynn's thread before she could breathe. "Wait. Forget 12A. Ping says it moved. Now it pings at your diner. Front door." Her heart hit hard once and then steadied. She lifted the screen so the agent could see. He read. He didn't swear. He didn't smile. He said one word. "Move." The SUV took the light that wasn't theirs. The rain came down like a curtain before a show. At the far edge of the city, in a little place with a cracked sugar jar and a loud coffee machine, a man with a left shoulder that hung low watched the door and wrote 6 words on a napkin in thick, patient ink. Rain beat the glass like fingers drumming. The SUV slid through the gray. The city looked washed and tired. Mara kept her eyes on the map glow on the agent's phone and the moving dot that had stopped at the diner's front door and then gone dark. She should have seen Leon's pattern sooner. He didn't explode rooms. He shaped them. He picked the light. He picked where the chairs went. He loved doors more than people. 2 blocks, Agent 4-7 said. His voice was even but tight. Teams are 1 and 3 minutes out. No sirens. Inside first is you and me, Mara said. No, he said. Inside first is me. I know the floor, she said. You know guns. I know where the bell sticks. He glanced at her wrists, the faint red lines where the cuffs had been. He had seen hands like hers shake and then hold before. You stay behind me, he said. No improv. Fine, she said. It wasn't a lie. She would stay behind him until she didn't. They turned down a narrow street where the puddles held neon like cheap jewelry. The diner sat on the corner, small and stubborn, with a long window and a sun-faded menu taped to the glass. The closed sign hung crooked. The coffee cup neon in the window flickered, trying to stay awake. He nosed the SUV into a spot half a building down. He killed the engine. The rain sound got bigger without the motor. Look, Mara said. She pointed to the door.